So I just got a question from a client, and I thought I'm trying to answer her in an email, and it's really quite long-winded, and there's just so much to consider. And when clients send me questions, it's never just a quick yes or no, which I think sometimes makes them feel like they can't ask me questions. But if you're a client of mine, you can ask me questions. Just be prepared for a thoughtful and thorough exploration of what it is you're asking, and helping you find actually maybe the better question to ask. So I had a client recently write in and say, hey, listen, I'm supporting her as a mama, but she has a little one. And the little one is quite young, is eating real foods. But she says, I'm a little bit worried that she's leaning towards eating, the white foods, the simple foods, the breads, the pasta, the potatoes, and the butter, and the rice, like just the simple carbs. And she says, do you think it would be a good idea to give her a multivitamin? And that's never just a really quick yes or no answer for me. And if you've ever worked with me, you'll know why. And there's kind of different ways into this that I want to get into. So, and I'd love to hear what you think too. Like, what are your thoughts on this? And please jump in on the conversation below. Let's make it a two-way conversation. So, my first question is, okay, well, which multi are you looking at? And then I did some research for the one that she was looking at, and it looks okay, and it's got usable forms of some of those B vitamins that we need for really optimizing detoxification and like the work at the liver level, and it's got great building blocks for nutrients that children would need in good amounts. It has okay versions of some of those nutrients. Like calcium, it's got a calcium citrate, it's got, like some other things. That's nice. But the deeper question here to me is, you could totally take a multivitamin if you want. But is it going to do what it is you're thinking it's going to do? That's the follow-up question you need to ask. And that's the depth that I want to go to here. So, then I take a step back and I say, okay, so what is your question? She's asking if her child is really relying on a lot of carbs for the majority of her caloric intake and the foods that she's being drawn to. And it's, pretty clear, I think Mama wants to do the best and support her child and nourish her child and do her best. Kind of support her child with the best support she's able to give. And I 1,000,000% love that. I just think it's so great. And I think so many of us are just being bombarded by so many potential ideas, and here's a red flag, and should you, and I am going to add a little bit to it. But I'm just going to give you a little bit of thought as to how I came up with my solution for her. So if kiddo is eating a lot of simple carbs, and that's a bit of what she's been doing, and she's been doing it for a week or two or three, and if it's not totally an overarching trend for a long time, would I as a mom be worried? No. When my daughter was little, she went through a span of like 3 or 4 months where all she wanted was sausages. So thank you, TK Ranch, for nourishing my child for like half of her age 4. Like, she ate only sausages. It was hilarious. She had eggs and sausages and milk, and that was about it. She didn't eat fruit. She didn't eat veg. She ate a little bit of rice every now and then, and potatoes she'd eat if they were on the table, but it was really like all she wanted was sausage. And so I just made sure she had the right version of sausages that we could afford, that we had access to, and all these pieces, and we all do our best, yeah? So these, it's just funny to me. And eventually she totally went through a phase of, she'll totally hate me for saying this, she did go through a phase of really only wanting those kid foods that we in the Western world, especially North America, not here in Europe as much, but in North America, we kind of label kid foods, those simple foods. And you have to, if that goes on for a long time, you start to wonder, okay, well, why? I, as a holistic nutrition practitioner, would say, well, why is the kid only drawn to that? Okay, well, what's good about those foods? Well, first of all, they give you really quick energy. They help nourish and turn off the stress response, actually, in a kiddo. So, brilliant. Good work, baby. And they also help turn off the stress response. Yeah, consuming carbohydrates can help turn off the stress response. So could any of these be at play here? Yep. They're also really easy to digest. And they also deliver a really quick caloric intake so that you can have energy to do the thing it is you want to do. So I love that. Yeah, good choice. They also trigger growth hormones. Carbohydrates trigger growth hormones in children. So how is that not a delightful draw to, like, why do we have to demonize it? Like, we need carbohydrates. No child should be on a low carbohydrate diet. Piss off with that. Anyway, ask me how I feel about it. So anyway, so taking it a little step further, what if a child is really drawn to really strictly eating those white carbs, the simple refined carbohydrates? Aha, if this goes on for a long time, now you need to start wondering, is there maybe something else going on behind the scenes? So if we, children are young bodies. They're in young bodies. They're in young bodies that haven't been on the earth for all that long. Yeah, they need to do detoxification for sure. Do they need to do detoxification to the level of what it is we do as adults? No. And that's why we eat fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables help fuel our microbiome. They also help provide some of those antioxidants we need for our nervous system to work well, for our liver to do detoxification, for our brain to function well. Those antioxidants are very important for many different reasons, and I'm not against eating beets and carrots and squash and sweet potatoes and cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and mushrooms, like onions, right? Apples, peaches, blueberries, like, yeah, bring it on. But if your kiddo's only eating the white things, now they're starting to miss some of those antioxidants is the thought. Okay. Yeah. Do they need them in the amounts that we do as adults? I don't think so. Do we need to worry about it? Well, maybe keep an eye on it, I suppose. But if it becomes a picky eater kind of thing, now you need to start looking at things where if they're really quite reticent to add anything else in, I'm wondering what's going on at the gut level. And picky eater is one of the biggest telltale signs that a child has gut stuff going on. And it can be a gut in a GI tract that is inflamed. It can be a digestive system that's not able to digest very well. It can also be an issue at the microbiome level, where things are off balance with the microbiome. Or it can be any combination of 2 or 3 of those things too. And picky eater and the desire to only eat those white kids' foods and like I will not eat anything with color kind of reticence starts to become a bit worrisome. And then you get the adults involved where we're being told you have to nourish your kids and we have to do all these things. And are you doing all the things on the list? And are you a good enough parent? So now on top of it, I have to force feed my child kale? No, no. But keeping an eye to it is very different than sounding the alarm for the child, because then there's also the question of, do we start to wake something up in the child? Does it become a control issue, and does it become something that's hyper-focused on? I don't want that either. I want all kiddos, to feel like, I feel like this, and when my body feels like this, I know I need to eat. And I know I need to eat. This makes me feel good, this makes me feel good, this makes me feel good. And if a child is drawn to eating the simpler foods, doesn't like spice, really likes it plain and simple, and goes long, like more than a few months and into years, periods of just eating those simple foods, yeah, we have an issue at that point at the gut level. So that's where doing some work at the gut level could be really a brilliant place to start, and some homemade meat stock is usually where I would start with that. If you're curious to learn more about that, I have a free class called The Gut as Ground Zero. You can find it in the link in my bio. You can sign up for it. But I will tell you, if I have a kid that is eating sausage and drinking milk and eating apples or blueberries and cheese on occasion, and that's about it, I would not worry about that child. If the child is eating processed meats and rice with butter, potatoes with butter, pasta with butter, and that's it, please do not even add a speck of parsley. and that's been going on for 8 months, now we need to look at things for sure at the gut level. And at that point, yeah, for sure I can help you figure some of these pieces out. But I will tell you, going back to the question of the multivitamin, will the multivitamin help undo what's going on in the body of a picky eater? No. Is it a helper? Yeah, I think it can give some of those nutrients and be a little bit of an insurance policy, but it's not going to do what you think it's doing. It's not going to help cover those other nutrients that are missing, because it's telling us that something needs some help at the gut lining that needs repair. And the earlier we can get in to do some of that repair, I think the better. And it's not a complete overhaul of a diet, because I don't think that works either. I certainly didn't want to do it at my house. I had big reservations against it. But I think eating as much real food as you can and bringing some of those things in is one of the ways forward. And empowering your kids to make choices and not attaching their worth and their value in what it is they're eating, but really just listening more so. So at the end of the day, this mama who's raising a sweet kiddo and wanting to do her best, how do we uncomplicate all this? Do you want to try the multivitamins? Yeah, go for it, sure. The ones you found are great. They sound great. Doing research, I love some of the nutrients that are in there. They're important for some of the kids. Growth-specific things that they need. But on top of that, keep working at providing real food at the table. Simplify it. My sister-in-law used to do this. I love this, and I share it with all my parents of young kiddos. She used to put together a platter of fruits and vegetables that she would have ready when the kids came home, because she worked from home. She'd put a big platter out for my niece and nephews, and the kids would they'd come home and they're starving, so they would eat what was available on the counter. They didn't even know it, they're just eating, their fruits and veg and blueberries and apples and bananas, whatever my sister-in-law had cut up. And when it came to supper time, they would only eat the meat, but they already had the fruits and veg before. The kids were hungry, they ate what was available. And that made it, that was just such a lovely little way in. Cutting plain fruits and veg is the easiest way to get some fruits and veg into our kids if we're looking for a multivitamin to provide some of that. But I will tell you, if your kids will eat eggs, fantastic. I actually think eggs could totally take the place of a multivitamin. If your kids are eating eggs, I don't think you need a multivitamin. And if your kids are eating meat, you can even slip in a little bit of liver pate to your meat, like in a spaghetti sauce, in a lasagna, in meatballs, in burgers. Adding just a little bit of liver pate can give you a little bit more of what it is you're looking for in your multivitamin. So, it's a non-answer other than, interesting. And has this been going on for a long time? And is the multivitamin enough? It's a helper, it's an insurance policy, but it's not going to do what it is you're thinking it's going to do. So just paying attention to some of that. If you need some help with anything, start with the Gut as Ground Zero class. It's a free class. And then if you have more questions, please book in and let's talk about it. Let's clarify things and let's see how we can help you get on your way. I obviously need to do some courses aimed at parents with littles, because I get these questions a lot. And last but not least, somebody's saying, do you believe in alkaline and acidity food nutrition? There's going to be some science for it. There's going to be some science against it. Where do I stand on it? I don't pick sides, and I really rarely go towards a way of eating. If I go a way of eating, it's usually what are ancestrally the pieces that your particular cells are expecting. What's the food that brought you to today, that fed your ancestors before you? What is the food that fed the ancestors on the land you're living on? That's about the only dogma approach. Well, I guess I also think of a low histamine approach as a temporary thing for people who have histamine issues. But alkaline and acidity, your body has a very narrow range of pH that it will keep working on. There's evidence for alkalinity that can be really helpful when you are about to go in for a heavy metal detox, and how that can actually be of service. And I think that can actually is one of the spots where it might be helpful. But when we start to, and I contribute to this though, but when we start to micromanage our food and start to look at some of those micronutrients, I think the micromanaging of things is detrimental in and of itself. I think the invitation now comes in taking a step back and taking a broader view and looking to traditional ways and stopping the micromanaging of all of the little things we need to put in place. Eat real food as often as you can and keep it simple. If it's really complicated for you, chop 3 vegetables on Sundays to last you the week. I have a friend, Andrea Beaubrun. She's brilliant. She's a naturopathic doctor in Calgary. She talks about, oh yeah, I can't tell you how often we've done hard-boiled eggs and cut up carrots and cucumbers for dinner. How is that not a complete meal? So, it really doesn't have to be complicated. Hard-boiled eggs and cut up vegetables. There's dinner. Thanks for listening in. Okay, toodaloo.